I said, you know, if I really boiled it all down, I suppose what I'm telling people is be kind and don't panic. Don't panic because then you can't be kind. And by kind, I don't just mean be nice, which of course let's all be nice, but I mean be kin. You know, recognize your kinship. It's like, hey, you know, we are on the same team. We don't always understand each other, but we're on the same team here. Well, you can't do that when you're in a panic. So originally it was 5 words: be kind and don't panic. But then folks would say, wow, that's a good idea. Tell me, how do I not panic? It's like, oh shit, how do I not panic? That's not so simple. And I don't have a simple formula for how to not panic, but I have a description of it. Have faith is when you're not panicking. In other words, when you have faith that, you know, and what do I mean by faith? I'm not talking necessarily about religious faith, although religious faith often fits this, but often doesn't, frankly. Depends on, you know, I differentiate between faith and fundamentalism, actually. To me, fundamentalism is the opposite of faith. That, you know, that the sense of certainty that I know for sure, and this is what it is, and nothing else is right, and I have to defend the truth, you know, that ideological certainty, that's the opposite of faith. Faith is when you're saying, you know, I don't know. I have radical humility. I'm not God. You know, I don't control it all. The faith is that this whole existence business is somehow right to be what it is. With that, then I can say, well, this sucks. I'm not saying it doesn't suck. It sucks, but there's got to be some way that this whole existence business is right. And there's death too, but there's something right about that too. You know, it's like, yeah, you kind of have to accept that. When you can accept that with not merely accept it grudgingly, but accept it and say, you know, there's rightness about it. You know what religious folks would say, well, that means you're saying that God, whatever God means, God is good. And I'm saying, yeah, whatever it's basically good. Is there evil in the world? Of course. And there's, you know, all the philosophers and theologians argue about, well, why would a good God let there be evil? And the usual answer is free will. And I like, you know, that's fine. But I'm just thinking in much more simplistic terms. It's like if I approach the world that it's basically good, things are going to go better, even though I may not always be able to solve whatever problem I'm solving. I'll do the best I can. And doing the best I can is good.
Hmm.
And most folks are trying to do that. You know, it's interesting when I talk about ideas versus ideologies, that's one of my big things. An ideological approach says, I know what truth is. And if you don't think that, you're full of shit and you must be crazy.
Right.
And, you know, it's interesting. You had a guest on who was saying that half the people know the truth and the other half the people are idiots. And with respect, I mean, I know the feeling. We all know the feeling. But with respect, that attitude is part of the problem, not part of the solution. It can't be true that half the people are crazy. It simply can't be true. Whichever side of like the political divide you're on, it can't be true that the other side is crazy. It just can't. I'm sorry. I don't know how to define crazy if that's true. It isn't true. There are crazy folks, but they are
Yep.
quite few. Most of us are just doing the best we can, and we come up with different understandings because we have different experiences and different frames of reference.